Well, welcome everyone to our resident association meeting. My 10th appearance this year. 2 more to go. And another 12 next year. I hope we don't get too tired of being out here. Anyway, we'll start out with our moment of silence, please. Thank you very much. Are there any new residents that have never been here at our meeting before? Any new residents, it's the first time, please stand up. Please. There he is, a new resident here attending his first meeting. Are there any old residents that this is their first meeting? Please stand up and be acknowledged. Okay, thank God that didn't happen. I want to point out, if you haven't seen, the blinds are down. After 6 or 8 months or a year, all of a sudden, these are new blinds, all 4 new blinds. And I have to thank Todd, our director of facilities.
And Jennifer.
But he said he's given all the credit to Jennifer. I want to take the credit because it happened during my tenure here. And I'm responsible because I got on Ted, the first thing you do is get these blinds. And he accomplished that, and he told Jennifer, get it done, between Jennifer and Todd. It's amazing how things can happen when you have the right people in the right job. So Todd, thank you for getting that done for us. We have a few other problems in this place here, which we'll be talking to you later. I think you know all about those. And I also want to acknowledge Nancy Epley for her wonderful presentation that she had here last week, showing all her works of art. She had the largest audience in Kendall Hall that we've ever had. And I'm really upset because she had a bigger group here than I've ever had. I mean, she had every seat taken. There was standing room in the back there. And it was just a wonderful presentation. And we want to thank Nancy for being here, for being part of us, and for all the work she's done for us. It was wonderful. And one other thing I want to mention is the Resident Association Fund Drive. I've been talking about that the last couple of months. We have exceeded our goal. I asked for $10,000 and you gave us $11,870. So please, we do not want any more money for the fund. We have enough. Linda is tired of getting these checks in. So please close your checkbook and stop sending us money. But I'll have more to say for the next fundraiser later on. But we have a presentation here. You can see why the curtains are open, and so that we're always on edge here whether this is going to work. So anyway, we're going to move Jessica up front because she has this IT presentation, and we want to make sure everything goes correctly. Jessica.
Good morning, everyone. And just like Paul took credit for Todd, took credit for Jennifer, I'm doing this presentation now. It's really Becky who's going to be talking to you about the Katie Webb. But so quickly, very similar to last month, we still have 10 unoccupied apartments and cottages, but all of them are spoken for. We have some folks moving in on Monday. And then we do know one apartment that's coming to us in a few weeks that will be showing in hopes that someone reserves quickly. And then there's a couple more that also might be coming to us. But yeah, so far we're over 100%. I know that's not a good math term, but that's what we like to say. And then Kevin doesn't even have any numbers for you today. We just want to welcome him back.
I have no numbers because I haven't done anything for the last month. My back surgery was 4 weeks ago tomorrow, the day before, and the day after the last Residents Association meeting. So for the last month, I've been at home recovering, but I'm recovered, feeling great, and glad I had the surgery. My back doesn't hurt anymore.
We're all excited that he's back. Me especially. I told him right before he came back, I said, everybody missed you. But guess what? I missed you the most. While he was gone, I had 12 tours and try-its. 5 of them were from all over Virginia, only 1 from Lexington, which is unusual. 3 from North Carolina, 1 from New York, and we welcome Lisbeth today from Alabama, but she is actually was in California for about 40 years. So welcome. We're so excited you're joining us today. We also had 2 new waitlist members, 1 from Lexington and 1 from Nellisport, Virginia. So thank you all for everything that you do. We also had an open house this month, was very successful. We had about 23, Jessica, correct me if I'm wrong, people come through for that. But the conversations that we had were pretty remarkable from that. One of the waitlist members came from that. And then a lot of people decided to move up their timeline. So you guys make it all way too beautiful, way too easy for us. So thank you very much. And I'm going to pass it on to Becky.
Becky, you need to be in Zoom. Do you need your laptop?
I was just gonna say, I'm not gonna lose it because it's working right now. Okay. All right.
It's still working, Becky.
Okay. So we are in the effort to try to make Katie more and more user-friendly, making a couple changes that I wanted to point out to you. So,
And Becky, just tell Zoom they
Oh.
do not see this presentation, but you can send it to them.
okay, you don't see me on Zoom land, but we can send you this information separately. So one of the things we did was did an analysis of which sites get the most links, clicks. And so we put all those at the top. So if you'll notice, go on down, go on down, go on down, and then you see this weird thing with just number signs. That's just kind of a delineation, just a little mark. So anything that's underneath that is probably something that you don't look at very often. Okay, another thing we did was gave you a calendar by the week. It has everything on there, all the fitness activities, all the culture and entertainment activities, committee meetings, everything I can think of. So if you're doing something and you don't tell me, it isn't going to get on. And if you change the time and you don't tell me, it isn't going to be fixed. So please, let me know. Other thing is, we also added a separate link to the board of directors information. I don't know how often you guys look at that, but it's there for you if you want to see it. And then the staff directory. I don't know if you noticed, but we have been adding pictures of all the staff. They come up, unfortunately, they come up by. What?
Oh,
Yeah, you saw that. I was gonna show you that, you stole my thunder. It comes up alphabetical by first name, so if you want to see last names, you gotta click there. If you don't know their name, but you know they work for maintenance, click on the job title and you'll see them listed alphabetically by department. So who was that girl in the dining room? You can just scroll down and see. Okay. And I was gonna say, here's Alfredo. Anyway, and then just a reminder that I'm available for any light IT issues that you have. And I will refer you on if I can't do it. But if you need help with your email or your phone or something like that, can't get Katie on your iPad, whatever, just give me a call. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Becky. And that's the end of the IT presentation, but we're afraid to touch any button now. Because the whole thing may collapse on us, and I still need this microphone. But anyway, we have a couple of new core leadership team members, and I'll ask Felicia to come up and introduce our new members of the core leadership team.
Good morning, everyone. I'm here in place of Jan. Apparently she was me last month, so this month I am Jan. So we have two new members that we're really excited that I want to introduce to you. If you both want to come up here. And I'm gonna give them the microphone just so they can tell us a little bit about themselves. So first we have Ron Adams. He's our new health services administrator. So I'll just turn it over to Ron.
So I just want to tell you a little bit about myself. This is what-
Right in your mouth. Keep it up in your mouth.
I guess, I can speak
Try
loud.
that again. Try it again.
Okay.
That was my fault.
They just didn't want me to speak. Yeah, I just wanted to tell you a little bit about myself. I've been working in long-term care in some form or fashion for around 30 years. And I started when I was 5. So actually, I was 19 and I started working in a skilled nursing facility doing housekeeping and laundry. I've done maintenance, floor maintenance. I finished college, became a social worker, director of social services. I've done admissions, marketing. I've done everything that you could think of in a skilled nursing facility except nursing. I was actually a CNA for a short period of time. Very, very challenging job, but also very rewarding. I guess the one thing that I want to let everyone know that serving in this capacity is a joy for me. I can't imagine doing anything else. If there's anything that I can do to help anyone, no matter whether it's Borden here, the entire community, just stop in, say hi. Let me know what I can do for you.
Oh, it's to the table so they can see me. And the next person I'd like to introduce, her name is Mandy McComas, and she's our new risk and compliance person, and we're very excited to have Mandy. She's a delight too.
Good morning. I'm so excited to be here in this capacity because honestly, when they had the groundbreaking ceremony for Kendall, I was in an ambulance and a fire truck because my background is EMS, emergency medical services. I spent about 20 years serving the county that I've grown up in and my family and population here in Rockbridge, and I'm truly excited about being here. Currently, I am working on my doctorate for my nurse practitioner, but want to continue moving on into the compliance and regulatory. I specialize now in hospice and gerontology. So I'm super excited to be here with you guys and hope that I can help however. It means a lot being here. And I'm very impressed with everything that they're doing here and meeting each one of you.
Normally, I invite Jan to step forward, being our CEO. Last month, I invited Jan to step forward, and she was not here. This month, I'm looking for Jan, and she is not here. For 2 months now, Jan has failed to appear before this illustrious group. They tell me she's at a conference in Acapulco. It's called Leading Edge or Leading Age or Leading something. I'm not sure what it is, but she is not here. She had a choice. I had a choice. I could have left town yesterday, but I'm not going to leave town until tomorrow because I have this very important meeting to attend to. She had a choice, and we know what choice she made. Hopefully next month, Jan will reappear. But I don't want to put too much of a bet on that, but I think she should be ashamed enough not to appear next month as a CEO because she's running out of surrogates to talk for her. I mean, Felicia can't get up here every single month. Brittany can't come up here. I mean, next thing is gonna be Todd will fill in for Jan. But, we don't want that to happen. I mean, he's got his own problems, But anyway, thank you, Felicia, for stepping in for Jan. And Jan, wherever you are, on the beach of Alcohol. Actually, I think it's Hoboken she's at the conference. It's not Alcohol, so, but, you know, Alcohol sounds better than Hoboken, New Jersey, but anyway, here's Felicia.
Jan is actually in Denver. That's where the leading age conference is, yeah. She was very well, known. She doesn't like to fly. I'm like, okay, so I got Jan's little report here, and then I'll just update everybody on the budget. So the first thing on her agenda here was talking about the mask policy, and I think you all received an email. So the Stepping Up Committee met to discuss step 14, and now the only restriction in the common areas here in Anderson, different for the health centers, is that unvaccinated people or visitors are the only ones that are required to wear a mask. So if you have a visitor and they're not vaccinated, if they're in the common areas, they're going to need to wear a mask. Also, because you have to remove your mask if you're in a dining or fitness center or the pool, we're asking unvaccinated people not to use those facilities. So that's the one. CLT staffing. So we are now, our CLT, our leadership team is fully staffed. We just met our 2 new individuals, and you've met Ron, or I'm sorry, Todd in the past. And so we're all fully staffed, and that's been wonderful. And it's been a joy, and the folks that we hired have been really good. So we have lots of projects we're working on. As you know, Todd is getting lots of stuff done in the facilities department, and that's been great. I don't know how many of you know, I think also an email went out about, we have been nominated, let me step back. Annually, the Chamber of Commerce does these people's awards, and it's usually like volunteer award, best employer, some other different categories, but we've been nominated, Kendall at Lexington, as the best employer. So I encourage everyone to get to that link. If you don't have it, talk to Stephanie, she'll send it to you, and vote for Kendall at Lexington. I've already put my vote in, so that
Vote every day.
Vote every day. I think we're supposed to vote once, but maybe they do. Okay, so yeah, please vote early and often. I live from Milwaukee, and that's, I think I'm from Chicago. So if you could vote for Kendall at Lexington, I know somebody that's in the volunteer category, she's not a nominee, and I think the awards are, I think the November, maybe 10th or 11th. So we'll get a response then. Next item is Shark Tank competition. I don't know if you've heard of this, but every year the Kendall Charitable Funds distributes money to the different affiliates. Normally it's been about $5,000 in the past, and we've done lots of different projects. There's usually a theme, but it was our green bags, it was the raised beds, it was the little libraries in town. So every year there's a different theme. This year, Kendall Charitable Fund sent us $10,000 with the theme being having to do with staffing, recruitment, and staff satisfaction, along with diversity. So we have decided, in order to make a fun event for staff, so they get very engaged, is to do Shark Tank competition. Now, I don't think I've ever seen that show. I'm not a TV watcher, but my understanding is, and what's going to happen with our staff, and they can do this individually or they can do it as teams, is to think of an idea, write it up, develop a budget, and they're going to come for a panel of judges to judge, to decide the merits of theirs and see if they win. So I know when I was here as manager on duty this weekend, some of the nursing staff at board are very excited. They want me to help them with their budget, and they've got an idea to improve staffing and some of the satisfaction on campus. So that is going to be November 11th. I think it's going to be open, right, to here in Kendall Hall. It'll be open. They can appear in person or they can do a video that will show. So the prize winners, they don't get to keep the money. I think our little staff are a little disappointed. It's going to go to the project that they developed. So this will be a fun way for staff to get involved and think of good ideas that we can implement here. And then the last thing I want to bring up is the budget. As you can see, the budget's always something I've been working on for quite a few months. The first draft went before the finance committee last Wednesday. They gave us some ideas. I'm doing some adjustments. We're going to have our second look at the budget next Wednesday. After that, it'll go before the board in November for approval. What I'm going to do is do my little plug. I always do 2 presentations before the residents. One is for the budget, so I can present the budget to the residents, and that's going to be on December 7th at 11 o'clock. I will make sure that everybody gets an email and I'll post it. I think I already told folks to put it in connections. So you can come and I'll present the budget and I can explain the assumptions behind it and the whole process of what we went through. And then the other time that I present is after the audit. So the audited financial statements I do in the spring after the audit's done. So diligently working on the budget. It has been a struggle. We're seeing lots of some of the areas that have really, where we're seeing huge increases, as you might expect, is food costs and utilities, just astronomical. So, and then lots of wage pressure. So, like I said, we get to see it, but hopefully I'll have a final draft of the final, I'll have another draft for the finance committee next Wednesday. Any quick questions? Okay, thank you very much.
We will show up for your presentation, so make sure you feed us first. And next up, we have our, Todd will give us an update of facilities and maintenance. I want to mention that if you go up to the core leadership bulletin board with the photographs of all the important people in the organization, my picture is not there, but anyway, Todd's picture is up there. But you know, what he doesn't realize is when we post his photograph on the core leadership bulletin board, that is a 10-year commitment that he has made, or age 75, whichever comes later. So I don't know if you realize that. Now, Alicia knows that because she has another 15 years to go before she can retire because her photograph is on that board. So anytime you get your photo posted, that's a 10-year commitment. And I'm sure you knew about that before.
Must have been in the line print.
All right, here's Todd.
All right, good morning, everybody. I'll try to get through everything in just a few minutes, not run over my allotted time. Just give you some updates from the facilities team. Last time we talked about the task organization division of duties between myself and Will. Some of you may have seen the Connections article recently about a little bit of internal task organization that we've done where we're assigning our work orders and dividing up the duties of our team based on the skills and interests and abilities of the team. And if you saw that article, you'll know that when we have a work order that's a plumbing issue, we're trying to send our best plumber and not the guy who happens to be assigned to that building. Because you don't want the electrician doing the plumber, and you sure don't want the plumber doing the electrician. So some of that is good news as far as skills. Some of that where you have an existing relationship with your team member and you like him. I know that's a little disruptive, but I appreciate everybody's support to the change. And I do think it'll help us be more efficient and on top of things in a little better manner going forward. We did add a new team member, Sean. So if you've seen Sean walking around, please say hi to him. We are keeping him very busy. We partnered him up with Little Al, and Little Al is running him into the dirt. Learning how we have to get things done and run around in here, but so far so good. We are looking at making some fine-tuning adjustments to our weekend and on-call procedures to make that a little more responsive, a little more balanced, and a little more efficient. Some more to follow on that as I finalize some changes to that. I'm going to go down a list of some of the things we've been working on or have on the radar just to kind of give you some updates and then some ideas of some way forward. The fencing at the dumpster is in. Hopefully you noticed it if you've been in that area. We tried to make it kind of neutral color so it's not super noticeable, but it is back there. The shed is due to arrive within the next 2 weeks, I'm promised, in which case we'll have a storage shed inside that area. And then we'll be able to move some of the trailers and other equipment that's in that parking lot into the space that's going to be behind the shed in the fence. I can't move it together. The shed delivery guy says he'll crunch all our stuff and we don't want to do that. The Sunnyside porch repairs and Cox Hall entrance repairs have been approved. And I've got those scheduled and coordinated with the contractor. Still several weeks out till he says he can get here, but you should see some improvements on those coming up. The dog park fencing went in some time ago, and we've been waiting on them to show up to put the gates in. While I was sitting here, I got a text saying, we're here putting the gates in. So that's good news, but it also makes me a little nervous because I want to go down there and make sure they're putting the gates in correctly the way we've asked them to. So you should see some progress on that very soon as well. We talked about this last night in the emergency meeting. I'm starting to work on a little bit of a pet PET, not furry animal, expansion project. The entire campus is covered right now by that system. No matter where you are on our property, if you press the button, it does talk to the system, but it gives your location as the nearest receiver, which are in our buildings and in our residents. So as we build an outdoor dog park and put some trails up to Hickory Hill, that location will report as whatever cottage or residence or building is closest to where you are. So what I'm doing right now is I have a tentative outline for 9 outdoor stations that will give us a more accurate response. We have a meeting in about 10 days with the status solution experts, and like I said in another meeting, they'll probably tell me I need to buy 50 of these things instead of the 9 I think I need. But that won't be it by the next meeting, but that's making a little bit of progress. Pressure washing at the cluster cottages wrapped up earlier this week. I did a walkthrough with the gentleman yesterday. I think he did a pretty good job. We gave him some pretty explicit instructions, and it looks like he did everything we asked him to do, including care around everyone's plantings and things like that. So I think that was pretty successful. The next thing, right behind that, we're starting the window washing on Monday. So that is campus-wide, so that will be everywhere. They tell me it is between 10 and 12 days of work, depending on the weather, which we don't really control. So we'll see. Stand by for an email from Kathy. We do have a sequence of where he's starting and where he's going. So you'll be getting some coordinating communication from us, just letting you know, and our teams will be working on the screens and things like that as that starts real soon. You'll see some roofing contractors here, and that means some lifts and things like that, a little bit of disruption, and I apologize for that, but there's a hole in the roof and we can't just kind of throw glue from down here up there. So we have to kind of get some equipment in to get up. I think it's 7 or 8 sites we've identified for some immediate repairs to get us through the winter. And then I'm actually going to Felicia with my pole out for more gold for next year. Some pretty significant roofing efforts. So we have a lot of roofs that are well past 20 years. And in the short term, next year or two, you'll see some significant work done on those to get those back where they need to be. In the next 2 weeks, hopefully you'll see some tree planting coming up in several locations around the campus. Interior signage, we're starting to work on this, but that would be in phase. But the first phase is primarily here and primarily at our places that have entrances from the outside to help someone who's not familiar understand where the fitness center is, which apartments are in which place like that. So it's going to be phased. I think the first one is only 12 or 15 signs, something like that, at our elevators and key areas to add in some wayfinding without cluttering it up and making it look like a food court or a mall direction thing. So step by step, you'll see a little bit of that. The generator people tell me my part will be ready on October 31st. I'm skeptical. I looked at the file. That's about the 87th promise they've made for when the park will be available. We call them about every 2 weeks and threaten them vaguely and see if that helps. So we'll see how that moves up. The blinds were already talked about. That was the big thing I wanted to brag about. Jennifer Patterson was the project manager for that. So truly, if you see Jennifer, thank her. She inspected, worked with the folks. They did a great job on that. Very happy with how they came out. The courtyard irrigation and tie into the rainwater cistern is moving along. We pulled the hatch and pulled out a really nasty slimy pump and got all the specs off of it. Now we're tying power to that. There's existing rainwater in that system. Now we just got to get pump and piping to get it onto the plants in the courtyard. That project's been approved and is moving forward as well. And you may have seen the sign and the email from Judy. I let her get that guy on that about the grill is offline down in the dining facility because the exhaust fan on the roof has problems and we can't safely get up to the roof to do that. I am looking at pulling out that roof mounted equipment, which involves another lift parked somewhere where you'll see it. It'll be obnoxious, and I apologize, but we'll get it fixed as fast as we can. And we're going to put in an inline exhaust, so the future service, future maintenance is a lot easier. We'll be able to do internally without bringing in equipment here. I don't know the lead time on that yet. I'm still working with Johnson Controls. In fact, they were climbing around on the roof today, again, making measurements and checking on some of the electrical equipment up there to make sure we're good. So some of those are pretty much wrapped up. Some of those are in the future. Some of those are in progress. Lots of stuff going on. Just want to give you a quick rundown. You'll see a lot of heating and air conditioning work and roofing work and other small projects in the future. And just letting everyone on my team know if you have a wish list or route through the appropriate folks. All right, thanks.
That was probably the most exhaustive update we've had in several months. And I want to really thank Todd. I think he's taken I don't want to say what he's taken, but he has a handle on all the problems, I think, at Kendall here, and he's working hard also with Jennifer, with Kathy, and with
Will, and the whole, Will and the team.
Will. Anyway, John has a
I
question.
want to add one comment because you mentioned our article in Connections, which has not been published yet. So if you're wondering about those changes, it's in the November edition, which will come out in a couple of weeks.
Okay, the article that Todd referred to in Connections will be published in November, so it has not been published yet. But we know what it says now anyway. Normally, I would ask Judy to step up from dining, but Judy isn't here either.
She's not.
She said she went fishing, but I found out she went to robot language school. They have a special school to learn how to speak to robots. So when she comes back, she'll be able to talk to Alfredo. And she and Alfredo will be able to communicate with each other because, Alfredo is down in the dining room doing an excellent job helping the ladies bus our tables, and Alfredo goes back and forth, and if you stand in front of him, he'll stop and ask you to please move, and then he'll move. So he's doing an excellent job of dining, but he's programmed to do a lot more. And Judy wants him to be programmed. He's already been programmed to go throughout the whole Anderson building. He did that initially. So when Judy gets back and speak to him in robot ease, I heard that she's gonna have him go up through all the hallways here between 2 and 3 in the morning, looking for, you know what? Those Chinese dishes. Look on the back of on a plate that says made in China. And where do you think Alfredo was made? In China as well. And they can communicate. He has sensors on him, so he can go by your apartment. And if you have one of these Chinese plates on your apartment, he will know it. And he will report back to Judy each morning, telling her where these dishes are located. So if you still have any of these dishes in your apartment, please gather them out, take them out in the hallway and place them in front of your neighbor's door. So you will get them. Anyway, we'll see what happens when Judy gets back and she expands the work of our robot Alfredo. Anyway, next up, we have Diane. She's going to give a little update on the nominating committee.
Good morning. We are a residents association. You've been hearing from administration, but we are an organization of residents as well, the Residents Association. And this is the time of year when we nominate people to be on the Residents Council, which is the 7-person council that really handles the affairs of the Residents Association, the programs and things like that we enjoy. So in the summer, late summer, the current Residents Council appointed a nominating committee, and the bylaws say that some of the people should have been on past resident councils, which is why I'm on it, and Karen Russell. And the other people are Carol Lee Chamberlain, who was also on last year's Residents Council, Marty Fisher, and Robin Potter. So we have a rotation of a person in an office for 2 years at a time. So we stagger it so that we have some continuity on the council, but also some fresh people coming on. So the slate that we have come up with that I want to present is for Paul will continue in his second year as president. For vice president, Ed Baum has been vice president. His term was 1 year. He indicated that he would like to stay on council, so he is eligible to move to one of the at-large positions. So his he will be doing that. And for vice president for a 2-year term, we will have on the agenda Lee Henkel. By the way, we're going to have the approval, since we don't vote, at next month's Residents Association meeting, which is designated as our annual meeting. Also, I'm going to interject, Paul, that we're going to have next month the approval finally of the new bylaws. And the older bylaws that we've been operating on since 2019 are in the red, are in Katie listed there. They are in your red book. The newer ones are also posted on Katie so that you can look at them and so on, because you will be asked to approve those next month. Now, going back to the slate, forgive me for digressing. Continuing as secretary is Suetta Harrison. She will have one more year in her term. Treasurer Linda Kramer will continue for another year. At large, Doreen Folsom Logan is going to continue for 1 year. Ed is going to be in a 2-year term on the resident at large position. And Linda Dwyer has been asked and has agreed to be serving in the other 2-year at-large position. All of these names will send out sometime next week, so that the bylaws say we have to send them out to you, so you know who the people are going to be for then approving at the November meeting. Another topic is there was someone mentioned something about posted on bulletin boards. We have a lot of bulletin boards around here, and what goes on which bulletin board and so on sometimes gets a little confusing. But there are the bulletin boards you see for the activities for the Residents Association, and you see the side bulletin board we have for the red activities like programs and so on. But check the alcove. There's a lot of information in the alcove. Sometimes there's community events that the CME committee doesn't sponsor or have us going to. But it's a really interesting activity in the community. So we urge you to check the alcove when you're looking around at bulletin boards and so on, because there's a lot going on. Any questions on the nominating committee, which was the only thing that I was asked to talk about?
Of course, being the past president, she talked about a lot of other things. So once you're president, you're always president. You're still talking, it's Diane's?
Say where the alcove is.
The alcove, if you go out the door here, down to the left toward the distribution boxes, if you take a right, there's a little alcove. Yeah, the photo, the who?
Photocopies.
Oh, not the photocopy, the photos that are posted on the wall, it's behind it. Yeah, and then in the alcove is the copy machine, the residence copy machine that it's open to everybody to use. Since Diane brought up about the Red Book, I want to let you know that there was one change made in the Red Book since we posted the changes on Katie several months ago. The Vespers was a standing committee. It has been a standing committee, but it has been promoted to be a special interest group. The council decided it was more special interest than one of the standing committees. So I made that change in the overview part of the bylaws. And just so you have access to that, it's been posted on Katie. And also 3 copies are available, 2 on the table in the library and 1 by the distribution box. So if you feel the need to read the new bylaws and the new overview section, they are available for you to read, hard copies, or if you want to read them on Katie, they're also available on Katie. So I think everybody should have access to those, so there'll be no controversy next month when I ask for a consensus of the Red Book. Anyway, next up is Kay. We'll give a little update on the Culture and Entertainment Committee.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you all for being here. This time I printed it out in large print.
Your mouth.
This time I printed my notes out in large print so I could see it. We are entering the busy holiday season. We begin with a talk by resident Bruce Summers on digital cryptocurrency this afternoon at 4:30. So if you've heard the term but don't really understand it, be sure to come by. Bruce is very, very knowledgeable. What is it and how will it affect you? Tomorrow afternoon, we will have a bus and cars heading out to Rafine, which is just up Route 11, for a tour and tasting at Rockbridge Vineyards. This has always been popular. We haven't done it in 2 years, but it was very popular. And I think we're going to have good weather, right? Saturday at 7:30, we have a bus going to Washington and Lee Linfest Center for a concert by the Giuliani Quartet. There's a sign-up sheet for that. Bus tickets are $20. Probably if you don't have your ticket, you can get it at the night of the concert. Excuse me. On Tuesday, we have a full bus for the Washington and Lee Fall Choral Concert. However, we have no bus driver. So carpools have been arranged. They're posted out there on the shelf. And we have free tickets for those who signed up for the bus. Otherwise, you need to get your tickets at the box office. It's always terrific and very, very popular. Next Wednesday evening, there is here at Kendall, we will present the faculty, we will present Anna Bilius, who is a faculty pianist, and a tenor whose name I don't have. The time is 7:15 right here. So if you come for dinner, you can just come up here and hear a lovely concert. Diane arranged this with Anna. They are giving the same concert at Washington and Lee Linfest, but they've agreed to come here. On to November, we lead off the month on Friday night with Friday night the 4th, with a concert here by the Marlbrook Chamber Players. Those of you who've been here for a while have heard them before. They're really wonderful, and we'll be very glad to see them. That'll also be at 7:15, I think. On Thursday, the 11th, the Washington and Lee Jazz Ensemble will perform at Linfest. They have always been a favorite for jazz aficionados. The next night, which is Friday, Southern Virginia University presents a Broadway musical called Bright Star. And finally, the restaurant for the month will be Nico's here in town. As always, watch for sign-up sheets for the bus. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The Culture and Entertainment Committee, myself being a former member and Diane being a former member, they work hard to schedule different events, both here at Kendall and also bus trips out in town. Obviously, we're lucky to have Washington University, Virginia Military Institute, and Southern Virginia University close by, so we can participate in all their cultural activities they have during the school year. So there's always something for everybody, but the bus can only take 14 people, so you got to keep an eye on that bulletin board. And if you want to go to one of these events with the bus, please sign up. Otherwise, you'll have to drive. And for me, I'd rather take a bus than drive, even if it's just to WNL. So I want to thank the committee. They're a hardworking committee. They have a lot of connections, you know. It's good to have with all the people here at Kendall. We have retired professors from all the colleges here. And so there's some little connections that we can get in and get advanced information and get special treatment many times. So I do want to thank that hardworking committee. It's probably one of the hardest committees to work on. I shouldn't say that because now you won't sign up for it, but it's easy work to show up. And anyway, next on our list is Bob Harrison. I'm going to give a little update on conversations.
Thank you. I felt like I should be rehearsed by a stand-up comedian before addressing you. Conversations, I think most of you know, it is probably one of our best opportunities for social engagement, casual, informal. We do it every Tuesday evening from 5 to 6 normally. There are some exceptions. We've changed the venue several times and we'll probably investigate others all the time with an open ear. Right now, we're down in the restaurant every Tuesday evening. We've been very fortunate this year to have 26 residents volunteer to host conversations. It's one of the nicest way to be appreciated and really do nothing except enjoy yourself. We do have some special events next Tuesday, the 25th, from 5 to 6:30, notice extended. We will have a Halloween costume party combined with a pizza party. So there is a sign up for your pizza and small desserts down by the CNA bulletin board, and we'll continue to advertise appropriately. I might tell you that over our time here, we've had as few as 20 and as many as 95 residents attend conversation. 95 residents. It happened to have been Becky's retirement party. We had a long discussion among those of us about whether we should force Becky to retire every week. The conclusion was, we're never going to ever let her retire again. Join us at conversation. This coming Tuesday, the 25th, it'll be a special time together in the restaurant. Costumes are fine. Some of us, they think we wear costumes all the time. Thank you so much.
Obviously, the conversations is the time to gather together, as well as our monthly meeting here to gather and associate together. Next, we have Hardin is going to give us an update on Kendall College. Kendall College is a long-standing program here at Kendall that the community provides us. Is Hardin here? So Hardin, please step forward. I think he's with Jan and Alcohol. I told Hardin I'd put him on the agenda, and I guess he left. Anyway, Kendall College will continue their work. They will post it, the information for the next session. You know, if you haven't attended Kendall College, they invite one of the professors at one of the colleges to give a 3-week presentation here on a particular subject. And they just had a Lewis and Clark presentation by Colonel Gibson from the Virginia Military Institute. They had a presentation on Greek mythology and its relevancy today. What else did they do? Anyway, they've done an excellent job and they're continuing working on this.
Do you want an update for the one in November?
For the one, are you Hardin? Please step forward. No, please come forward here. So the people in our Zoom land is still in their pajamas can hear the information on the update of Kendall College. This is Linda, by the way. It's not Hardin. I don't know what happened to him.
Thank you. So November 2nd, 9th, and 16th, it's going to be Professor Seth Canty from WNL, and he will be presenting a series on U.S. intelligence, primarily the gathering of and analysis of U.S. intelligence in those 3 sessions. And there'll be an article in Connections for November and also doing a flyer, which probably will be out the end of this week for those 3. You all have been so supportive of Kendall College this year. There won't be any charge for these, the series coming up in November, which is the final series for 2022. So keep an eye out for that. It will be posted. Stephanie will be sending out a blast on that probably the end of this week. Just, we do ask that you let us know if you are planning to attend, but the information will be there, but no charge this time. Any questions on that? I'm going to put on another hat too and say we'll also be putting a sign-up sheet if anyone needs a ride to the Rockbridge County polling site, November 8th, the election. We're going to take a bus to that site, and that's, most of you probably voted either by mail or will be doing early voting. But if you do need a ride to that polling place, We'll put the bus sign up sheet up in, again, probably the end of this week in the C&E area to sign up.
Linda, remind
Transportation.
people in the count, where the county polling place.
Yes, the
is.
county vote, polling place has changed for Kendall, if you're in Rockbridge County. If you're in the city of Lexington, it stays the same, Piamano building. But the Rockbridge County polling place is now going to be at the Lexington Baptist Church, which is 75 Old Farm Road, Houston Street extended. As soon as you get over that Houston, the line, the city-county line on Houston Street, it turns into Old Farm Road, and that's where the polling place is now going to be for Rockbridge County, first election.
Closer.
Yep, it's closer, a lot closer than Collier's Town Center.
Here's a
Thank you very much. Any questions for us, Rob?
Question. I was just gonna say, you can do about this morning, you can, if you're in the county, you can vote in the town, at the county building early, right on Main Street.
Right,
Right.
right.
Yeah.
And you know, when I've done that, if the county building is just on Main Street there, you go in there. And for the county, there's only one person, one candidate, one position to vote for, which is congressman. So you go in there and there's hardly anybody there. So you go in there, you give them your name, your ID, they give you the voting thing, you check off your candidate, you stick it in the machine, you're gone. You're in and out of there within about 3 minutes. If there's a long line, like 2 or 3 people ahead of you, it might take you 10 minutes. But it's worthwhile going voting in person. You have plenty of time. If not, if you don't get the chance, then you can take a bus to go all the way to the Lexington Baptist Church, which is it's not as far as we used to go.
Yeah, I'd just like to add that all those hours for early voting have been posted in the resident alcove that Diane was referring to earlier. Sample ballots are there. All that information also is in October connections. So, but if anybody has any question, give me a holler. Thank you.
All right. Well, I told you I didn't need any more of your money, but what's coming up next in November is the semi-annual fund drive for the Staff Appreciation Fund. And this is probably, I think, one of the most important fundraising drives we have. This is the opportunity to thank our staff for all their work during the past 6 months. We do it twice a year. Last year in June, we raised, what did we raise? We raised $91,000 in June. That was about 72% of the residents gave donations to the Staff Appreciation Fund. You will be receiving a letter at the end of this month asking for your support once again. And it'll give a few statistics. We are asking for a goal of $100,000 this year. So just a little more than what we collected last June. And 2 years ago, we collected over $100,000. So this is not some larger number that is impossible to collect, because we've already done it once before. But, you know, with the increased number of staff, I think we need to dig a little deeper and to give more. And I have a little formula. We're asking for anywhere between $3 and $4 per day. And we're talking about half a year, which is about 182 days. It was a half year. So if you multiply, let's say you multiply $4 times 182 days, that's $728 per person, which would be a suggested gift. If you just give $3 a day, that's $546, Peterson. I'm looking for about 75% participate. If we, I'm choking up, asking for money. Unless it's telling me to stop talking. If we have 75% participation, we could raise over $100,000 to exceed our goal. I'm not crying, I'm just joking. The deadline is December 5th, so you have the month of November to consider how big of a check you're going to write. And we know everyone can't give that much money, and we respect that. But I think it's important that there should be 100% participation in the Staff Appreciation Fund, because all of us, 100% of the residents here receive benefits from our maintenance people, from our dining, from our housekeeping, from our IT, from our administrative staff. And I think it's incumbent upon all of us, 100% of us, to give some money to this fund in appreciation. So we're asking if you can give a large sum, we ask you to do that, but please give something for this fund. I know in June, we had arranged, we had somebody that gave $25. We had another person gave $5,000. It'd be nice if you all give 5,000, but we only have one. But anyway, give what you can, but I think it's important that we have 100% participation. We've only had about 70, 75% in the past, but let's try to get 100% this year. Yes.
Isn't there a formula about how the money is distributed based on how long?
Right, there is a formula. Your donation, of course, is tax deductible because you write a check to Kendall at Lexington, and it goes to the administration. And so it's because they're a 501c3, it is tax deductible for you. So you get the benefit as well. And then there is a formula, all the employees, they judge the number of hours that they work, their working hour schedule, also how long they've been here, longevity. So there's a complicated formula that figures out how much each staff member gets. Obviously, if somebody just got hired last week, they may get that $25. I'm sorry?
They have to be here 90 days.
They have to be here 90 days. So that gives a little incentive to our new employees to hang in there for the 90 days so they get something. But people have been here, like a little Al, probably been here since they started, I think. So he'd be entitled to a much larger share. But we try to be fair to everybody and to make sure everybody gets some type of gift from the residents to thank them. Anyway, does anybody have any issues that they want to raise that since Todd is still here, he's available to answer your questions? Because I know any issue you raise probably relate to Todd's job here. But are there any other questions or? Because look, we have 3 more minutes to go. And I kind of, anyway, if obviously if Judy was here, we'd be another 15 minutes over, but she's not here. And I did not ask Alfredo to show up today. So anyway, thank you all for being here. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Hope you enjoy your fall. And I will be back in November sometime, but thank you for coming.